It's June 11th, 2007. We're at Councilmember Tom LaBonge's house. Bob Herzog is on camera. He's the chairperson of the Silver Lake History Collective for the Neighborhood Council. Dorsey Dijon and Andrew Laranth are here from the committee in attendance to assist. Okay, and I want to thank you for the purposes of our archive and this.
I'm covering the view. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Nice
is it okay if I call you Tom? I mean, I know you're the council member for Council District 4.
Yeah.
But this is, eventually we're going to, upload these interviews onto the Neighborhood Council website so people learn the history of Silver Lake and the important people. So anyway, first of all, thank you for your time to do this.
Thank you.
And for all the work you've been doing all this time, and especially since the fire in Griffith Park. You might want to maybe just mention what's going on now with Griffith Park, and then we'll go back to your childhood.
Well, great. I just, on May 8th, almost 5 weeks ago tomorrow, there was a horrible fire that someone started, carelessly smoking up Aberdeen Canyon. A major response from the Los Angeles City Fire Department, the County Fire Department, their pilots and their helicopters, the great water from DWP, fire companies from Glendale, Burbank, Pasadena, from around the Southland for as far north as Morro Bay to far south of San Diego came and fought that blaze, and in 2 days it was under control. Tragically, we lost some very interesting spots of the park for right now, but the great thing is no one was injured, and only one home had minor damage, and it could have been a disaster like Oakland had, where they lost over 500 homes some years ago.
And no structures were destroyed.
No structures were destroyed. A lot of watershed was destroyed. It will come back naturally. There'll be no new natives introduced, except in some specialty areas like Dante's View, Captain's Roost, the Cedar Grove or Bird Sanctuary, which have redwoods, which are not native to this area, but they'll be back because they got damaged during the fire. A few other spots, but we're going to look for the community to be part of this multi-year effort, because it's going to take, I'm thinking, about 7 years to look like there wasn't a fire, and maybe 20 years to say where was the fire. And it's going to take time. It was a big area. So we're looking for Silver Lake, and Silver Lake's been very supportive on everything, and I'm very proud of Silver Lake. And we're at Silver Lake, and here we are. This is 90039. I've lived in 90039 my whole life.
Your whole life.
I'm one of 7 boys born to Robert and Mary Louise LaBonge. Both of our parents are in heaven, but they originally came to Silver Lake and lived on West Silver Lake Drive right by Tesla in the 1930s.
I see.
Where
did they live before that?
My mother was born in Lincoln Heights. My dad was born in Long Beach. My dad grew up at 22nd and Hoover. My mom grew up in Lincoln Heights. And then when her father became a sergeant in the police department, they got a little pay raise. City always pays well. And they bought a home over in the Wilshire District at 10th and Lucerne. So real Los Angeles roots here.
Why did they come to Silver Lake?
I think they liked the area, but my mom's sister, Lucy, was a nurse at Children's Hospital, and she lived on Silver Lake first, so that kind of, sometimes family. My mom's one of 11. My dad's one of 5, so big families. Their parents came from Ireland or Germany, and so that's the mix of Irish-German that's here in Los Angeles. And as I said, coming from a big family, you get a lot of strength, and I don't think there's a better neighborhood to grow up in than Silver Lake. It always has been a diverse neighborhood.
What's your first memory of Silver Lake?
Just the hills, I guess, is the most thing. And we used to play in a lot of hills. We used to play in places now where there's houses, we used to, I remember one of my brothers walked on somebody's, they just poured the cement for the fireplace, and we didn't know, so we walked, because houses, there wasn't fences back then. I mean, no offense, even in construction sites. And
you want to take a break for the helicopter?
Yeah, it's the county of Los Angeles coming through there.
Yeah, they fly along the 101 freeway. I live right next to it, and every day about this time.
Well, that's a Mission of Mercy. That's going into Children's Hospital right there. So they're coming from afar. On that.
So no fences and
no fences. So I remember one time, I don't know which one of my brother Dennis and Chris, they walked on a freshly paved fireplace, and their footprints were there, and we were busted. You couldn't get away. Right. But growing up with all my brothers, it was very special to be here, and the neighbors. And also you played till well past dark, especially now in summertime. I mean, you'd play and play and play. And
Who were your neighbors? Do
the
you remember
Fitzpatricks? Oh, sure, the Fitzpatrick. Roy Fitzpatrick, who's my field deputy. He, his sister, and the Browns down the street, and later on the Wongs, and Mr. Hanson, who was an electrician over at Warner Brothers, and drove a old 50 Ford, and he always came up the hill slow, and you could hear him change his stick shift. Earl Ike lived in the area, which is Earl Ike Dodge, which is a famous LA family from its history. You know, my favorite Martian used to live there on Ray Walston, right there on Mitchell Torino. You'd see some star people around. But the one thing about Silver Lake was the hills. I was a child growing up, and then I did go to Ivanhoe and did go to King and John Marshall.
All of your brothers went to Ivanhoe also?
We all went to Ivanhoe for kindergarten, and we're Catholic. We all went to Catholic school, went to Mother Good Counsel. But in like 1962, there was a big fire at a Catholic school in Chicago that at St. Mary's, I think it was, that killed a lot of children.
That's where I'm from.
So cities across the country then were forced to really inspect these Catholic schools, because my second grade at Mother Good Counsel in Vermont had 62 children. So I got pushed out of that Catholic school, started going to public school. And like I said, all my brothers went to Ivanhoe for elementary. I mean, for kindergarten. But they went to Catholic school, and then
where are you in the family line?
7 of 8.
You're the
7 of 8. When I was born, just to let you know, I know we're jumping around a little bit here,
okay.
but we lived on Panorama Terrace. My mom called Mrs. O'Brien, who lived on Tesla, who came over to watch my brother Dennis, Chris, Tim, and Bob. Then my mom drove Stephen and Dennis to St. Francis of Assisi over here to go to school, dropped them off. Then she drove down Sunset up Coronado Terrace to Queen of Angels, and at 8:45 in the morning I was born. And the Dr. McCarthy said, you want me to call Bob up? My mom told me the story. And so I didn't even get a chance to call him until I was coming to have a baby, because she had so many babies, it was no big deal. But
you don't happen to know if Dr. Shigakawa delivered you?
No, McCarthy did.
Oh, McCarthy.
Yeah, there. So, and I met a doctor who lives in Wilshire District just recently, and he remembered the day
you
we
were born?
all there. Yeah. So.
Are these some friends?
Yeah. So it was a friends coming. Hey, what do you say, guys? So it was good to
come into the world.
To come into the world that way, and have a big family.
Then you went to King.
Then I went from Mother Good Counsel, which I remember walking home from Vermont there, all the way to Silver Lake here. You'd cross Hyperion, there were no signals. You know, at Tracy there were no. You know, it was totally different. No signals at Hillhurst. You'd cross your way and you'd get home. But then I went to Ivanhoe, and when I went to Ivanhoe, my brothers made fun of me because they were all Catholic school guys, and they started calling me public because I went to public school.
Oh,
so
right.
that's now 50 years later, I'm a public servant. You get it?
Right. Got it.
But
and do you think that made a difference in terms of you choosing public service?
Well, I think what made a big difference in public service is my father instilled on all of us to have a job.
I see.
In the community, in the neighborhood, at the house. My job for the family was taking the trash out. And back then there was 2 days of collection. There was Can Box Day and Garbage Day. And I met the collectors. And we had street trees on our street. And back then they trimmed the trees like every 3 years. And I remember as a kid growing up, the guys would come back. I remember the guy's name, Mr. Henry, who was a street tree guy. And going to Ivanhoe, there was 56's, the old firehouse, which is now the Edendale Grill. They were right across the street. You know, so you'd see all this. So it always made an interest in me and the public. And
more than your brothers?
More than my brothers. And in fact, I remember when I went later on, I asked my dad to help me get a job as a trash collector when I was playing football. After Marshall, I was playing at City College because that would be a good summer job, you know, throwing trash in the back of a truck. And I remember he wrote Mayor Yorty at the time for that. And he referred me to the personnel department. So I didn't get the job. But,
did your brothers go to college too?
All of them went, I went to, I myself, from Ivanhoe to King. And then, and the funny thing about King, when they built the new school, see, we were there when there was Old King and Myra Avenue used to go through. Then they tore it down the next year. Then they, you know, like in a year they built a new school. Now it takes years to build things. I mean, it was old school, bungalows, new school. You know, it was very quick.
How did you get to school? Did you ride your bike?
Walked the whole way. I rode my bike to King, and I rode my bike to Ivanhoe. and
Did you have
walked
a
lot.
diversity of friends, would you say? or-
Sure. Still
It was
to my
pretty
day.
diverse community.
It always was very diverse. I mean, in my mind, this neighborhood was always diverse with people. Judge Wong was my scoutmaster who just passed. He and his wife Dorothy. Do you know them? You should really interview her.
The Wongs, I do
Yeah,
know of
on,
them. Yeah.
on right across from where my parents first lived on West Silver Lake Drive. He was the first Chinese American judge to be appointed to the bench. Great guy. He just passed, but his wife Dorothy is there, and that'd be a good interview for you. But
Yeah.
Lance Ito, you know, the judge, he was in
Yeah.
our Boy Scout troop. So
He was-
it's always was a
uh-huh.
mixture of people
Right.
in there. Football team with John Marshall was like a United Nations in a way, and
So you were born in what year?
1953.
53, right? So it was well.
1963, I remember exactly where I was on November 22nd, sitting on a
Where were
bench
you?
right there at Ivanhoe. It was lunchtime, and
When
Mrs.
Kennedy was assassinated.
yeah, Mrs.
Well, we
Hurst.
interviewed a gentleman who was there.
Where at?
Roger Katz was in the hallway, just behind the door when the
That's Bobby.
assassination
I
occurred.
think you're talking about Jack.
I'm
You're talking about
yeah,
Jack.
yeah, when I
I'm
was
sorry, I'm talking about
That's
Robert.
okay.
Yeah,
I can tell where I was then. No, on November 22nd, the darkest day in our country's history, I was just a fifth grader.
At
Ivanhoe.
Ivanhoe.
And I remember at lunchtime, the flag was at half mast, and I asked Mrs. Hurst, who was our lunch supervisor, she lives on Hyperion. I asked, why is the flag at half staff? And she said, President Kennedy was shot. That's how we learned, you know, of this tragedy and then the dark days of our history. But from Ivanhoe, a good schooling, as there is today, went to King. And then John Marshall, enjoyed John Marshall the whole time.
You know, there's some concern these days that kids don't have a civics curriculum and don't really think about public service while they're in school or in high school. But obviously, you know, in your era, you had some consciousness about community because of your father, I guess.
Right.
But
My
would
mother
you
was
say,
a school teacher, so I give equal credit.
would you say there was anything at Marshall High School that really inspired you to come
Well,
back
I
and
mean, I
work
was
in-
at Marshall. I think really what happened, see how I got the job in City Hall in the first place. I mean, from I wanted to be a school teacher. I wanted to be a high school coach. In the
you
mid
did?
1970s, there were no teaching jobs. No teaching jobs. There wasn't the population that we had there, but there were no jobs. And I was a high school football coach that I volunteered for many years, and then they gave me a job in Marshall as the gym, nighttime gym manager for the gym.
Oh, is that right?
And there was a community meeting by then Councilwoman Peggy Stevenson, and I opened the door and I set up the tables, and I went to the meeting, and after the meeting, they offered me a job.
Oh, I see.
And it was a great opportunity, and I worked there for 2.5 years for that experience, and that kind of got me involved.
That kind of clicked for you in a way.
Yeah, but the city did. I believe in the city. I believe in the city. I believe in those who work for the city. It's a very important opportunity to have this thing called the city of Los Angeles.
So what did you major in college?
Sociology.
Sociology, huh?
Right.
And
That's
then
my
it-
son Charles right up there. Hey, Charles. What do you
Hi.
need, buddy?
Bernie's here.
All right, set him down back.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about your family?
I got a beautiful wife, Bridget LaBonge,
Hi.
who is my wife, and she.
I got Bridget, here we come.
Oh, there you go, right there.
Hi,
Yeah, no makeup on. You're all right.
back to the old man. Okay.
My son Charles, who goes to Ivanhoe, and Mary Catherine went to Ivanhoe, and actually goes to Immaculate Heart. So we're kind of local, 100% there.
Great.
And like all my brothers, my brother Mark still lives in the area on Panorama with his wife Lily. And there's no place like home. I live 2 blocks from where I grew up, basically, but lived all in 9039. And I think the one thing about public service, you want to just ask
Yeah,
that.
please.
You follow your heart, you know,
Uh-huh.
whatever it is. It's not the position, it's the process of trying to help your neighborhood that really is. And I didn't know I'd end up in this position. You know, I didn't know when I started 33 years ago that I would be the elected official.
Why don't you tell us about your progression after that job? And
Yeah, basically, in the summer of 1974 and 75, I worked for the city in the summer beautification program run by then Mayor Bradley through Peggy Stevenson's office, and we clean up neighborhoods. We actually would clean lots,
really?
clean up debris, precursor to all these neighborhood beautification projects that were going on nowadays in these cleanups. And then as a high school football coach, They offered me a job, a full-time job with the city, with Peggy Stevens, which I worked from when I was 22 to I think 24 and a half. And I never traveled before then, and I felt it would be important to travel. If I didn't do it when I'm young, so I think it's important to travel.
Get
So
a bigger picture.
I left Miss Stevenson's office and took the year and traveled to Europe, and not the whole year, but a quarter of the year. And that was a good experience to do as well. And when I came back, Mr. Ferraro offered me a job where I worked for 16 years.
Oh.
And his district wasn't this area, but as redistricting changed in the years to come, it became his area. So it was
What did
very
you
good.
do for him?
Just represent him and push the community agenda, help neighborhood organizations move, help people get their goal. The whole thing about government is to try to make people get what they would like to get,
Right,
within boundaries. It's not, they want to rob a bank. We don't want to have them rob. We don't have them rob a bank. But if they want to plant trees, if they want to build a park, if they want to improve their neighborhood, this is what we're supposed to do. And a lot of times it's, I have agendas of what I believe in, but it's the community's agenda which is really the most important. And if you balance that out to where it makes sense, then you go forward with it.
So do you have any goals right now for Silver Lake or for your district?
Well, I think the most important thing for Silver Lake, and I'm proud of when I got elected, to solve the Silver Lake Reservoir problem. I don't think the neighborhood could have taken a 6+ year drainage construction problem, tanks, and all of that.
Yeah.
And in working with the Department of Water and Power, which I worked, because after Mr. Ferraro's 16-year run in '92, I did run for office in part of this area. It wasn't all of Las Vegas or Silver Lake, but
There
part
was
of it
a
was
different district.
district. But it was Jackie Goldberg and I ran, and Jackie won by like 400 votes. And then I had left Mr. Ferraro's office, went to work for Mr. Reardon as the mayor's assistant for 7 years.
Right.
And then I went to Water and Power for 1.5 years. And then when Mr. Ferraro passed, I talked to my wife Bridget and talked to family and friends and community, and ran and won the seat 5 years ago. And just got elected for another 4-year term. In that process of those 5 years, I'm proud of a lot of things. One, the restoration of the observatory, which is all of Los Angeles building. Two, from our own Silver Lake here, the question, what would be on this open air reservoir? Because we all know, if you clean your car this morning at 8 a.m. and have it perfect, by 4 in the afternoon there'll be particles on them. You go, where do they come from? Well, there's a lot of particles we can't see. Water quality standards have gone up. We've got to do something about that. We've got to cover reservoirs. It's unacceptable in Silver Lake. So I never was for any of that covering a reservoir, but I was looking for other options. And my past experience at Water and Power with these trunk lines and where they come from, I said, okay, originally I thought, what if they did this near the merry-go-round area? Because I had this vision of redoing the merry-go-round area, keep the historic merry-go-round where it was, but having it there so it could upgrade, maybe consolidate the parking, get more green space, whatever. Well, it was too far off the trunk lines, but they said, in talking to them, then what about the spreading basins out there by Forest Lawn? And that solves a giant problem, because you're not going to have a 7-year construction problem, which would have changed the impact.
So it really was your experience all that time that helped you solve that problem. Really.
I still got to get it done. Still got to build it, but we got a plan.
Right.
Everything that I've done in my life is added. What I did yesterday helps me today. What I did 20, 30 years ago helps me today, and especially. I'm working with Mr. Garcetti, my colleague there, on the walkway along.
The walkway around.
West Silver Lake is so important, and then even getting it on. I mean, I remember another time too, I told Eric I'm going to do it, because these engineers I knew at Water Power said, meet me here at my house. We're going to walk around Silver Lake, and I want you to feel what it feels like to walk on Silver Lake Boulevard, where's the wall and the cars.
Right.
And I said, guys, we got to get on the track. We got to get on the thing.
That you did that,
and that helped, I believe that, and obviously Mr. Garcetti's great support, but that helped turn that a little bit. So for Silver Lake, that's really extremely important. Small things that are very important things are traffic, because there's, the Glendale Freeway was supposed to be completed in the 50s, never was, stopped and deleted in the 70s. We're always having this traffic problem, and people speed through our neighborhood. Some are our own neighbors, some are people from other cities and towns.
Commuting through
right,
Silver Lake.
and a new signal I finally got approved, but not soon enough, for Monon and Hyperion, because earlier this year we had a death of a young man who crossed. Well, first car stopped, second car didn't. But we will see this improvements be made to try to make the community a little safer, slow down. I'm proud of the new fire station that is there, 56s, and all the work there. I would like to see, and I believe this, although we got a community, some in the community don't want it, I'd like to see Ivanhoe go to 8th grade. I think that would stabilize the community. There's a land use problem. You know, there's no site to build it there, and I don't want to take people's homes. But do you take some of that commercial on Rowena, and do you look at it a little differently? I think that would be nice for our neighborhood. I want to see the Hyperion Bridge restored to its original grandeur. I want to see it widened a little bit for the safety. Some people don't want it widened, but I think another gentleman, a service attendant at the Trader Joe's, was hit by a bicycle, and that, you know, it's so narrow. I went riding yesterday in Griffith Park, and it's nice to be on the bikeway separate from cars. I want to do more of that experience.
So you feel like the city's kind of behind you, you'll get the support you need for the reservoir, for traffic changes?
Well, on a lot of things. I mean, right
have a
now
lot of-
what you have is a relationship. It's a relationship.
Right,
It's
exactly.
two things you need in life, water and relationship.
Relationships, I agree.
And I got relationships with people that I work with, you know, and over the years. And, you know, everybody's got a stack of work, but if it's you got my name on it, chances are they say, well, you know, I know Tom, and he's not a bad guy, and so I'm going to help his constituent a little more. I mean, I hope it doesn't get to the day that it's all scientific and by a number, but it's going fast that way. I believe in relationships. I believe in stopping by. We just got new street lights in Silver Lake, and I don't know if you noticed on West Silver Lake Drive.
Yeah, so that's where my office is.
Yeah, but the new ones, they're not totally. They're from Tesla south.
Right.
They're going to do the other section in the future, but I'm proud of the rest. If I have a street lighting to push that project in and get it done. And what is done too is they've lit the walkway. We could feel a little comfortable at night. You know, with the light that flows off there.
So, you know, on a favorite day with your family in Silver Lake, what would you do? Is there a restaurant you like to go to?
Well, the one thing I love to do with my wife is walk. We love to walk in the neighborhood.
Up in the hills here?
Up in the hills over to the West Silver Lake Drive. My wife walks more often around the reservoir. My favorite walk is Griffith Park, which I've been doing for 30 years, and lately I've been walking every day to check something new in the park as we begin the restoration. But we love walking in Silver Lake. My favorite place to eat is the Edendale, which I haven't been in too much lately, but I used to eat there when it was old 56s. I always were friends, even working for the city, with the old firefighters there and that used to work there. Now I eat over at New 56. In fact, last night we...
Over at what?
New 56s, the firehouse. The new firehouse, which is now, I don't know, 15 years old, but it's all
new to us.
Right. We have a little program. The Ivanhoe parents have bought dinner for the firefighters. We cooked it last night, beans and some pork steaks.
Just to give them
a little meal off, you know.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
yeah, it's fun. And then but I'll tell you, I've probably eaten there 1,000 times.
at the firehouse.
Yeah, you know,
Oh,
come
that's
to
kinda nice.
they're very. I got a little one. You know, they're very nice. We're friends. And it's fun
Did you ever
too.
go down to the river with your brothers when
As
you were
we were
younger?
kids, sure. We rode our bicycles there. We used to swim in the river.
You did?
I remember one time on the summer, we used to catch frogs, and I sold, because I remember how much I made, $2.10, a nickel each. Frogs, you know, that I caught. Brought it back to Ivanhoe, which was fun. I remember some of the old buildings,
Like
where
what?
the Save-Ons and the Ralphs used to be an auto court. And
Auto
an
court?
auto court in right out of John Steinbeck's time. I mean, it was a very interesting place that was there. Remember Curry's Ice Cream, which is where Rudolfo's is.
Oh.
It was a mile-high ice cream cone, and there was a big bridge for the red car that was there.
Oh, really?
I can't say I ever remember the red car. I don't know if it stopped at 58 or 61, but I remember the bridges. I remember the freeway. Before the freeway, there was a Las Feliz drive-in, and we would stop. My dad, you know, the big family, you'd do little things. You'd go to Griffith Park or Elysian or someplace, but we would go over and watch the train come through Glendale at night. And that was the big thing. And
That
then
was the
we'd
thrill.
The thrill. And then we'd stop on the Hyperion Bridge and look at the drive-in theater, the Las Feliz Drive-In.
Catch a free movie
Yeah.
from the bridge.
Remember walking when they paved the road in where the tennis courts are on 2x4s, barefoot. You know, you go barefoot all the time over to the swimming pool,
Oh,
swim
I
at
see.
Griffith Park. I mean, so
Uh-huh.
much you'd walk and ride bikes all over the place. I remember the old Walt Disney Studios
Oh,
building. It was a drug place, pharmaceutical store.
Pharmaceuticals, right?
Shouldn't say drug place. And where Gilson's is now.
Yeah, where did your mom go grocery shopping?
She went to the Safeway, which used to be on Sunset and right here at Hyperion. There's a bar there. It was a Safeway store, and then they moved a new store where it's Safeway was at Scotland and Hyperion. That was a market right there. Now it's a pharmaceutical union building. And I sold the Herald Examiner there. And you know, there were 2 editions that came out, the 8-Star and the Sunset. And I remember one time, and this is famous in LA history, the LAPD, it was before Rampart was even built. They all the cars from Hollywood, police cars, came racing up with their siren up Hyperion, and all the cars came racing up Central Division up Griffith Park Boulevard. And then I saw the Telemobile, you know, with Stan Chambers.
Yeah.
So I said, something big must happen.
Yeah.
And I turned my paper corner, I stood there and sold the Herald, you know, in front of the market over to Annie Fitzpatrick, and I ran up to Rowena and Surrey. And back then there was no yellow tape or anything, you know, and
Yeah.
there was a famous
Stuck your nose
shootout,
into it.
and like 3 policemen, no one died, got shot
Oh, by whom?
by a guy in a house who was upset. The house is still there. You could still see the chip in the bricks on Surrey Street.
Really?
And Darrell Gates, believe it or not, was a sergeant. I mean, I didn't know this till I read his book, you know, 30 years later. And he said that's where I developed the concept for SWAT, because what the concept of SWAT is, to be a marksman, a marksman, you have to know how to shoot correctly, and not all police officers know how to shoot correctly. So contain the scene, get the best shooters in, try to talk the people out of violence, or do what you have to do in a sense. So it's funny, I ran up, you know, all that day, and I saw that from that. I remember when they built that market, there used to be 4 gas stations, a Mobil, a Shell, a Chevron, and a 76 at Hyperion and Griffith Park. There's only a 76 there
76
now.
there.
Used to be a
Yeah.
Texaco right there where the Blueberry, what's the place going in there?
Oh, Pinkberry.
Pinkberry
Right.
going in there. Remember the old Rowena Reservoir all the time.
Did you see at a certain point a distinctive change in the neighborhood? Like, you know, more houses were built and the community kind of changed into maybe small businesses, or?
No, I think there was a growth of businesses, became like a little bit of a village when some of the restaurants. I mean, I remember Ballard's was in a house, and then they built the store Ballard's there. But I think when you know, there's a transformation of some of the activities. There was some of the restaurants, some of the bars.
Like Casita del Campo?
Yeah, or up there. This place, I think it used to be called Houston's or something like there. And
a bar?
a bar, yeah. Victory Liquor used to be where Bogey's is now. You know, not that I know all these places like I went in there and got stuff, but
There was the Hub Market and
the
that
Hub
kind
Market.
of
I remember the Hub changed there, and I worked at Winchell's, which is where the Pizza Hut is, and that was fun. I mean, I was in high school, and I remember how I got the job is I didn't have any money. I was with my brother, and I asked the guy if I cleaned up the place, would he give me a
Some
glazed
pizza?
donut? No,
Oh, a
there was
donut.
no pizza. It was a
Winchell's.
Winchell's, and I worked there for a couple years. You know, and they had hi-hat hamburgers.
So everybody in the neighborhood kind of knew your family
Yeah.
and knew you.
Well, I think I remember one time we were playing baseball down on Griffith Park right there on Riverside, and we had one ball, and it went over the fence onto the freeway. And my brother Dennis, who was older, got it off the freeway. Well, when we got home, my mother had received a phone call from somebody who said your boys were playing on the freeway.
Oh.
There was a mother's network that was
Yeah.
pretty active here.
Protecting all the kids.
Yeah, or just letting people know what's going on. But it was always a great neighborhood to grow up in, and I think it still is.
Did you know the Nicola family?
I knew Larry and
Larry.
Nicola, right? They lived on
And
Tracy
his-
Street.
His
And,
father. and
Alan,
his-
Les, and Mike. They and everybody in their market down here, which was real nice.
On Fountain and Sunset over there. Would you
Right
go
there.
there with your brothers?
We went there. Yeah, all of my brothers did. I remember when I first started with the city, I took the city parade car. One of my brothers happened to be there, Brian, and it's a '52 Kaiser, which is like a presidential limousine. And I took it and showed him this car, and I said kiddingly, "Yeah, the woman in Hancock Park liked me," and she gave me the car for $200.
She did.
And he couldn't believe it, and he's looking around the whole car, just his drawers dropping out. And then he looks at the license plate and sees an E plate, and he said, he wanted to hit me because I was kidding him. But no, there was old places to eat, you'd walk everywhere, which was fun to do, and. But I can remember when there were traffic signals too at some locations. There wasn't one at West Silver Lake and by Ivanhoe. There was a subway you would go on, a pedestrian tunnel that you would go under on there. So, but it's always been a welcoming community for all people.
Yeah.
Tom, did you ever go to the Sanborn House?
No,
Remember that?
there was a make it a habit. There was a little hamburger shack there. And the Sanborn Junction.
Oh, next across the street.
Sanborn Junction had where the El Polo is now was a drugstore, and they had a fountain there. And I remember once I had a root beer float there, which was pretty good. And Max Liquor was in the corner, and there was a great neon sign. There was some great neon in Silver Lake.
Oh, there was.
Along the way, and there was car dealerships down on Sunset by Mitchell Torino, Metropolitan Chevrolet. In that area there, and there wasn't as much commerce. There were some contractors down here along Hyperion and some auto repair,
And Sunset Junction? Did you go to Sunset Junction growing up, or your
well,
brothers?
I mean, you'd take the bus, from there, and I used to work down on South Vermont Avenue. You'd come home there.
I mean the festival, the street.
It wasn't. I mean, the festival happened much
later
than my youth.
So before that, that would
Well,
be
you'd go- well,
a
I'll tell you-
transportation center.
Well, your transportation, but also it was the other end of Sunset. I mean, if you wanted some nice bell bottoms, or there was some record stores down there. It was
Hippie
an
clubs.
alternative to. I wasn't a hippie, but I liked hippies, in that sense.
Yeah.
I had a rock and roll band called Joe Bush and the Hubcaps, and we played at a place at Descanso and Sunset.
What did you play?
I sang.
You sang?
Yeah, I got a picture. I'll show it to you.
Oh, okay.
So it was
All
good.
right.
Old rock and roll,
Uh-huh.
which was fun, and so there was all this activity around,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and I never felt.
Did you go to the Vista Theater?
Well, the Vista Theater then was showed art films, which is a old term for pornographic movies.
Pornography.
Right. So is this a family show?
So you didn't.
No, but one time in high school, I'll just tell you. So God, this
Okay.
is terrible.
Well, we gotta have a little anecdote.
I know. Well, yeah, but we're all high school guys, and so let's go to the Vista. So, well, how do you get into the Vista? Well, one guy, told the guy I got to go look for my brother or something like that.
Who was inside?
And the
right?
clerk, let him in, because one guy ran I think the same guy who ran the projector ran the ticket place. And then they went out on Sunset Drive, and he opened the gate, and then we all, like 6 of us came in, and we all sitting next to each other, just watching this movie or this art film. But what's interesting about it is that where the film was made was the Hathaway Estates.
Oh.
Because you could look out the
Really?
window and you saw downtown and just a
Right.
little high rise. So it was interesting how,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's.
So you had a lot of adventures even in the neighborhood.
Little
really.
adventures in
Yeah.
the neighborhood,
Yeah.
that type of deal. But the Vista wasn't like it is today, and the Los Feliz Theater was there.
Did
The
you
one
go
in
to
that
the
water coast.
soap plant?
At
a certain point? That was later.
Yeah, much later. I'm 53, so I mean, where Fred 62 was Niemer's, which was a diner, similar to what it is today, almost like the same situation that it is. There wasn't the restaurants like we have around here as much, and even Sunset has really been a strong rebirth, which is a credit to the entrepreneurs who have been there and have tried to upgrade it. Remember the telephone company used to be there where there's new housing built. Remember going to the Jewish Community Center a lot for dances. They had great dances
When you were.
when I was a kid and playing there.
Really?
And I remember I went from there for $6 to see the Byrds, in 1965 at Hollywood High. I remember going to the tickets there and all. It was fun.
Yeah.
That's one of the challenges today is, in fact, I thought about it today and driving around. Kids can't have the fun like we had.
Yeah, they're
'Cause
not
dance
safe
is-
and free.
Well, there's some who like to ruin it, Like I'm for reforming a lot of things in the sense how we do things, but if someone is violent or intimidates somebody, they can't play with the team. I like everybody to have fun.
Yeah.
You
Good,
know?
clean fun.
Right, good, clean fun, respectful of everybody, you know. So.
Well, would you like to show us something in your little room? like
Sure,
a
I mean,
photo?
yeah, we could do that right
We're
there.
gonna turn
You guys
off
have
the
any-
camera.
Anything you want to ask?
Okay, we're moving from the patio inside. Stay behind me. And
He wants to
This
start
is
to
Zeke's
film.
Underground. This is what I call it. Zeke's named after our dog, Zeke. We had a lot of dogs.
There's the sign there.
From Atwater Village.
Uh-huh.
But I will do anything I can to help people. But on Monday nights during the fall, I like to be home. I like
And watch
watching Monday Night Football.
Football, right.
In there. And this is the place now. My wife wants to open up a museum down on Hyperion called the Museum of My Husband's Crap.
Oh, great. Great.
So,
Is there an
'cause I got a lot
acronym
of
for that?
stuff. Yeah.
There's an award here, Bob. Tom
Yeah.
LaBonge Humanitarian of the Year, 1997.
Well, I'm very, very proud of that award. It's given to me by city employees who appreciate the work that I have done
Oh, great.
over the course of time. And
And this,
this is a plaque for my buddy Charlie Turner, who was the honorary mayor of Griffith Park.
oh,
And here's a picture here I want to get down for you up here, if
Okay.
I could. Right here. This is my first, it's a little dark there. But my
maybe bring
first
it down a little.
city job, if you could get that in line. You got that okay right there?
who's that kid?
Yeah, right there. That is it. I'll go out a little bit.
First city
That's it,
job. That was
yeah.
the
It's the
trash-
summer cleanup.
The
for,
summer cleanup, yeah.
summer cleanup.
First beautification project.
Right there. I love Elvis Presley, as you can see right there, and his music. And
Yeah, he was.
This is-
Did your band sing some of his
a
songs?
lot of Elvis. And then
No.
this is
Over here.
here's my
I
old
know,
high school
I
jersey
know.
right here.
Oh my God.
Oh, great.
I can't snap
Did they
around.
retire the number?
No. The greatest of all players
This
is
is-
Mike Haynes.
This is from Marshall, right?
Yeah, he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We were classmates
Oh,
together.
great.
We
Really?
just
You were
visited
classmates?
back in New York. He's
You were on the same team?
Same team. We were very close.
That's great.
He was the quarterback. I was the center. If you know football, you know how
Sure.
close he was.
Yeah, very close.
Yeah, right.
Who's
Is
this
this
up
a
here?
This is
picture of
little
the
Bill
team?
Clinton.
Oh, little Willie Clinton.
Yeah, he
Look
was
at
out
that.
there. So
And over here, Cosell, Howard Cosell.
Howard
right?
Cosell, right
Coming
there.
around,
yeah,
folks.
Howard
With you?
Cosell.
That's you.
And my brother Chris, and I'm on the right there. He just
You're
came
on the
back.
right. Your brother Chris
Right.
is on the left
Right.
with Howard Cosell. How was it that
I
he?
need to
He was in
move
the
where you are,
airport.
Cheryl.
He was in the airport.
Uh-huh.
And we just went up and said hello to him. And my brother went to Occidental College. And the first thing Howard said, Oregon State, because it's the same colors. And Chris, my brother Chris said, no,
Oh,
Occidental.
wait. Look at this picture of Marshall High. How
Yeah, that's
far back does this?
1931.
Yeah, I would say.
Wow.
But the thing about Cosell, this is how smart he was. He goes, my brother says, no, not Oregon State. My brother goes, Occidental. And then he goes, Occidental College, where Jack Kemp starred for the Tigers. You know, Jack Kemp was the Secretary of Housing.
Yeah.
He was went to Fairfax. And here's Cosell,
Oh, and
remember
it was
him.
the same Occidental?
Same Occidental.
Oh my God.
Same Occidental.
Wow.
And then this is little banners from the
Your
football. and
collection?
all that stuff. And here's pictures, really this I'm very proud of, this corner here. This
Coming,
is,
I'm coming.
all the teams that are there, which are kind of fun. And
Oh,
my
here's
son,
Mike
you gotta-
Haynes.
Right. This is my classmate Mike Haynes. We went back when he was inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's so.
And he's a dear friend there. And
And
this
who's
is-
this down
this
here?
is Mill Davis, who was my mentor. He's a great man. He lives up in Oregon now. He was a Baltimore Colt and a great teacher at Marshall. And
He taught at Marshall?
Taught at Marshall, and also was a great professional scout. And still holds the NFL record for most interceptions and least amount of games. Here's John Ferraro,
Oh,
All-American from
look at that.
USC.
Uh-huh.
And this is a little poster from the Berlin Bowl, where we went back in 1990 to Berlin.
This is exactly what we wanted to
Yeah.
see. And up here?
Up here is my grandfather's right here. In this,
Here, we can-
I can get
in
it,
the
Tom.
city. Yeah, but I want to.
Yeah, the lighting's
wanna
good.
point some-
And that's what I'm named after.
Thomas Joseph
Lernahan.
Lernahan.
He was in the
A Mick.
World War I. You got it. That's for sure. He's a man.
You're making fun of my people, Cheryl.
Is that derogatory?
You can say Kraut too, and you'll offend me as well.
And then over here, like this is a lot of books on LA and stuff.
Wait, Tom. Is this your band?
That's my band right
All
there.
right,
Joe
we-
We gotta get that. Can you get that in the light, Cheryl? Right down over
Tom.
here.
Did you get that okay?
Sure.
That's Joe Bush.
Where are you here?
Hubcap, so I'm right here. So this is right there. That's Mark Dresser, who's one of the greatest bass players in
Oh,
uh,
Really?
professional bass players in
music.
California.
Where
John
was this
Friesen.
shot? Where was
that
this
was the Troubadour out on there, Santa Monica
Really?
Boulevard.
Oh,
Dave
really?
Stores. We're all Marshall High guys.
So you got your start in showbiz.
I got my start. I love to sing. You know.
Okay, here, I'll
Which
put
is
it back
fun.
and you
Oh.
can continue to...
Yeah, you have a lot of stuff here. My wife Bridget and I, and a lot of old records here. And then if you watch your head, you come in here. This
No,
is,
we have no light in there.
Oh, yeah, we do.
yeah.
No, we do. Go ahead, Bob.
I'm getting Bridget here, and
Okay.
Good job.
the first kid.
That's Mary Catherine.
This, yeah, okay. You go
Okay, I'm
ahead.
coming in behind you.
This is, I do a lot of photography, and you know, the calendars I send out, but this is a lot of the work from, this is when the last time we had the fire in Dante's View, we came to have a replanting. It's funny, you see these pictures. This is Dante's from a long time ago.
I haven't been up there in years. I used
Yeah.
to hike up there all the time.
And then this is more pictures, the Charlie Turner Trailhead, and one of our parties up on top of Mount Hollywood right here.
So you have your own archive in a way.
I do,
Yeah.
you know, but when one day I'll have time to organize it as well.
Well,
as
let
some.
us know, you know.
Oh, sure, but I'll get you some old pictures of the area. But,
Who's this back here? Is this a grandchild?
no, that's my son Charles right there.
Son
That's
Charles,
when he, yeah,
okay.
he's
Oh, yeah.
in
That's
Ivanhoe. And then these are a collection. Here's a postcard I took at Silver Lake from many years ago. That's a postcard they sold.
Oh, isn't that great?
Right.
These are all collectibles now.
Right, yeah. So it's fun. And when I get time, I love to kind of daddle down here. And that's the family home on Panorama Terrace. It's still there. My brother Mark and Lily live there, his wife. Right there. There's me when I was a child there, eating bread. Still love it today, but gotta watch
Yeah,
it.
none of us can eat as much as we
No.
That's great.
And watch your head going underneath
Okay.
there.
Are we about finished? Do you want to do a close?
Just this cabinet talk?
Why don't
Yeah,
we,
sure.
I'll follow you
Come
out.
right in here. Watch your head there.
Okay.
Okay.
I've been ducking all my life.
Right, here's a lot of old stuff. This is, these are Cleats, Mike Haynes, my colleague, my friend. There's his signature right there.
Great.
That he, in this game, when he played for the Raiders, they beat San Francisco, and he, after the game, gave me the shoes. This is Andy Reid, another Marshall graduate, who's the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
So many
Special
famous
friend.
people out of Marshall.
There is,
Who's this? Is this a reunion
this
of
is
your
a
band?
reunion picture, yeah, the band
The
down
band.
there.
Can you
That's
name these?
Bruce J. right there, Ronnie
the left.
Moss right there, Dave Stores. This is all of them right in here,
Where's Bruce
which is
J?
good. Bruce J. the realtor right here.
Oh,
He's
oh,
very supportive of things.
Yeah, great.
And you have some old things. I got this when I coached at Marshall. Right here, appreciation to varsity football, 1976.
That's nice.
So it's nice to
Yeah.
have all these
And
things.
then, here's your first microphone.
Yeah, it's an old microphone there.
From
which
the
is
band?
From the band right here. You know, right there. Do a little Elvis just like that. But it's
Can you
nice.
do one little?
I know. I'll
Bard?
tell you. Love me tender, love me too.
Yeah, come on.
Cheryl, thank you for what all you guys do,
Thank you.
which is good. We'll
Thank
take
you.
that
All right,
little
great.
Paul
Come
Newman
on.
picture. Come on in. You got it all.
Okay. All right, here we are. All right, great.
And then there's
Good
the
job.
self-serving one.
You got it right there.
Thanks.
Okay, that was great, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I hope we didn't delay your dinner too
No.
much. Really.
I really enjoy listening to you talk about Los Angeles because you love it so much.
Yeah.
It comes from here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you.
Thanks so
Oh,
much.
no,
I feel that when you
On
talk
the other
about
side.
You got it. Thank you. Excuse
Thank
me.
you.
Hey, I got this for $20 at a garage sale on Hyperion.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
right there. They were, I was driving out. I said, I
Does it have a date on it?
It's old.
Soda acid.
It's old.
Oh, that goes way back.
Sounds like a contradiction.
All right, are we off? Are we off camera, kids?